Okay.
So today is January the 14th, and we have a special guest. She is the owner of K Sewing
Studio.
And she has been, as long as she has been married to me, in my point of view, she has sewn every day of her married life, which is really exciting. But what's even more exciting than that is this owner and founder of K Sewing Studio is going to school after 50 years old, and she is reestablishing and rebranding herself. So I think that's a wonderful way to enter into a well-lived life. And so, Miss Bull, I'd like to ask you, what influenced you to go to school after 50?
Because it's not from the
well, I had my small business for alterations, and I wanted to improve my understanding of what was inside the garments. I noticed that there were certain notations, not necessarily notes on paper, but certain indicators that something was going on. And I just wanted to know what all of those little signs meant.
Very good.
So I thought by going to school would improve my understanding of garment construction in regards to mass production techniques.
And so now that you've acquired this new knowledge, can you tell the viewers how you are going to empower yourself with the schooling that you've had and the desire to know what's going on with garments?
Well, I decided initially when I went in that going to school would improve my knowledge and make me more proficient to give alterations. But as I learned more about the fashion industry and learned more about garment construction, I realized that I would like to go into freelance. Be a freelancer in the fashion industry. And what that means is you would help companies, small or large, to be able to realize their fashion ideas or fashion goals in terms of making clothing on a mass production level, help them realize those dreams.
And can you tell our viewers what you feel a well-lived life consists of?
I think when you're able to have a nice work-life balance that allows you to live comfortably.
And when you say live comfortably, do you mean financially, or do you mean spiritually? Do you mean in your community? What does that mean?
I think there's all the above. At 50, you have a better understanding of yourself and how I would think how you fit in to your community and your family, and just being able to live that comfortably doesn't necessarily mean that you're a millionaire or anything like that. It's just that you're comfortable with yourself and you've been able to have a balance, set healthy boundaries, and live life comfortably.
So can you give us a little bit of background about your family and maybe a little bit about your upbringing and how you got influenced to sew in the first place?
Well, I say as a child, I lived in a two-family working household. My mother worked and my father worked. So as a child, we did, me and my sisters and my brother, we did a lot of things on our own. We didn't have we had some parental influence, but not necessarily everyday guidance that I think that is important for raising children. But we had each other and we influenced each other. And I would say my initial experiences with sewing were making clothes for my Barbie doll, because we didn't have money to buy Barbie clothes. And so me and my sister, we would just get scraps from my mother and just make Barbie clothes. So I think it just grew from that. And then in high school, I have a love of art. And that's another thing about the going back to school and doing fashion design that has been really a revelation, that I was able to put all my passions are all there together working to further the goal. And it's drawing and sewing and creating and putting things together, and it's all fashion design on the level that I want to do is all of that. So that's very exciting. But I'll say that my parents, with what they had, and how they grew up, they did their best to improve um, our upbringing better than their own, and they did do that. And with what they, I mean, I don't blame them or anything like that. I just know that they have limited understanding of what it took to raise kids and everything like that. And with what they had, they did much better than their parents. But I realized when I had my own kids that there is still more that needed to be done. So,
And how many children do you have?
I have three kids. So I just think my upbringing just taught us how to work hard, stay busy, be under the radar. That's just my thing. But I think that in my young adulthood, I think that hurt me, because you can't spend your whole life just wanting to be under the radar and just getting by. I mean, that doesn't require excellence. But as I had my kids, I realized, I just think God let me know that how did I want my kids to grow up? Did I want them to grow up like I did, or did I want to do something better? And this is not a harp on my parents or anything like that. I just decided I wanted to do some things differently. And differently for me was, we homeschooled our kids. They never went to public school, and some of the early college experience that I had was getting a 2-year degree in engineering, and my husband's an electrical engineer. So, I raised my kids not to be engineers, but they ended up being engineers. So thank the Lord, all 3 of my kids have graduated from a university with a bachelor's in engineering. And I was very involved in my kids' life. I was afforded the blessing to be able to stay at home with them and grow and learn and relearn things that I forgot, which really helped me when I went back to school when I turned in my late 40s. So, I mean, that was, it helped so much. I mean, it was wonderful to be able to help them get there. And then when I got there, it wasn't like I had to relearn all the stuff. I was already ready because everything was very fresh. So I didn't have that struggle.
And I have learned from many entrepreneurs that there has always been a glimpse or an influence or a thread throughout their life that were little measures of what you would be doing.
That's true.
In the present time. Yours started when you were making Barbie clothes.
Yeah.
And so I know 2 things about you. One is that when you were flying under the radar as a kid, you read a lot of romance novels. Are you still a romance novel reader?
Well, I think a lot of the early romance novels that I was reading now is morphed into something totally much different than I currently read. So I'm in the process of trying to find new reading material that interests me, And with school, I haven't, really had a lot of time to do different things, but I have been reading a lot of books about sewing and fit and how to correct patterns to make sure that customers are getting the best fit that they need for their body type.
And the second secret I know about you is you love to quilt.
Yes, I do.
And
I
so
did.
where did that influence come from? I see that you have a lot of creativity. You come from a very creative background and also a very logical background. So how did you find this love
I don't know. For
for
quilting,
quilting?
I started quilting when my kids were very young, and I just needed a creative outlet. And so, I mean, I did sew clothes and everything like that, and that was nice. But this was, I bought a quilting magazine, and it just grew from there. So the first quilt that I made I didn't do it right, but it made me want to learn how to perfect it and become more proficient and more polished. So I really do like it. But what's beautiful about it is, well, as you sew, okay, let's go back to the first quilt that I had. I had all these scraps from fabric from projects that I had made for my kids. And I just think a crafter, it just seems crafter is synonymous with, what do you call it? A hoarder. It seems like they're synonymous. You just don't want to throw anything away because you could use it. You know what I'm saying? You could use it. So what I did was I remember the colors. The color scheme was that it had white on it, had some brown corduroy, which I had made my daughter some clothes out of brown corduroy, had purple corduroy. I had made my daughter some purple overalls and some like a pink shirt with this little delicate pretty flower in it. And I just like the idea of you making a quilt, you keep it, you'll have those cherished memories with you forever. Not forever, but for a long time. So when you're laying under that quilt, you're thinking, oh, look, you're thinking about, it just brings back happy memories. And so I just think one of the, like you're saying, the threads of things going through your life about things. And for me, I remember one time I went to go visit my grandmother when she was alive in San Francisco, and wasn't a special event or anything like that. I just went to go visit her, and she was talking about how much people throw things away. We're just such a throwaway generation. She was discussing how some people had renovated a house and they just threw all the stuff out on the street, but really good stuff, But it just made me want to not be wasteful. So that idea of sustainability, just kind of grew and has just grown and grown and grown. So quilting is a byproduct of that. And you have all of them. Mm-hmm.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
And do you have any books that you read that you would recommend to our audience?
For quilting?
Any books about inspiration? Any books about
the first book that I got was
a book that influenced you, a book that you were
looking at a book. For me, it was a magazine. It was called the QUILT Maker. Okay, and the first year, I liked it so much that I subscribed to it. And it was just really, just neat, all the little different things that they had in there. But they had this one magazine that it was the days of the week. And so it was really cute. But it was like, it was quilting and it was supposed to look very vintage. And, each day of the week, like Monday was wash day. So then they had something with washing and then ironing. And it was like the next day. I think Friday was shopping. And Saturday was like resting, or maybe it was Sunday. It was just really cool. Anyway, so, but inspirational books, I don't know. I've just been doing magazines. I love my Berta magazines, very passionate about them. Why, as a sewer, when you read that magazine, all the patterns are in the magazine. And one thing about Berta, if you are a person that it's fashion forward, their publication is usually 18 months to 2 years early, meaning you could make something in there and then I'm going to say in a year to 2 years, you're going to see that fashion idea everywhere. And I just love that.
And have you always thought you would be an entrepreneur?
But you can do that at the tax office.
No, I never. No. I was thinking I wasn't such an organized person or anything like that. But I understand that at this day and age, being 50, it's not a. It's not a less than. But many people in the workforce or in corporate America feel that it is, and have difficulty getting past somebody's age when it comes to hiring people. So as school is coming to an end, as I'm trying to find a job, I want to get a job, if possible, in the industry to get an idea of how companies do mass production on a grand scale to improve how I would be a freelance.
So what's next for you?
Well, I have one more semester left, thank the Lord. And
congratulations, that's a big achievement.
It is. But when I graduate, I will have a degree in business and administration and in fashion design. And that's why I decided I would be a freelance. I would be able to set my own hours, so to speak, choose the customers that I would have. But I just would like to get some firsthand industry experience to get a understanding of how things work in real life, not conceptually like you do in school.
And do you have an inspirational song that keeps you going?
Because also, I didn't realize that. But
no, I just outside of the stage, I never think about that. I mean, I do love music. I just love music. And I just think music. I mean, I really just love music. I don't think of a song being one better than the other. I just think music just makes me happy in terms of listening to it and anyway. So I never think about one song.
If you could tell your younger self, if you could give your younger self some advice, what would that advice be?
What would I tell myself?
Every year. They don't even have to renew.
Oh, I would.
If they live on base.
I think it's always what my dad told me, you can do it, but go find somebody that can help you do it. You have the ability. You just need a little bit of guidance to help you achieve the goals that you want.
Well, we want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to have this interview with us. There were so many nuggets that you gave us, and I really appreciate all that you have shared with our audience today. We look forward to seeing what's best for you in the future. And if there are any fashion designers out there looking for a mass productive specialist, you have Kevin Bull with K Sewing Studios. Thank you and have a great day.
Thank you.